Hello Malaysians, my name is Professor Dr. Muhammad Tajuddin, and for today's video I would like to discuss a very serious matter, which is Rukunegara will fail if we do not explain it within the values and framework of Islam. Now this issue has come up because in recent news we see that the Unity Ministry, Dato Aaron Ago, has made a lot of statement about how the Rukunegara needs to be recited at parliaments and state assemblies, and he has also worked very hard to make sure that other aspects or other parts of the education system to be taught with Rukunegara, for instance in the school, for instance in kindergarten, and then also at the PLKN level. We can see from the news that this is the thing that he has mentioned, and all of this work is very good in terms of instilling the Rukunegara to most people. Now my fear is that I don't think the Muslim community will accept Rukunegara as part and parcel of their Islamic responsibility to build the nation. For Muslims, Islam is Islam, nation is something else. And for Muslims, usually they would say that, well, we are the dominant population and other people needs to respect us. So they will have to know Rukunegara in order to respect us. This is the narrative that I perceive. Now, if we were to look at the incidences that's happened in our country, let's say the social incident, for instance, the KK Mart issue that has blown out into incredible proportions, not just because of Akmal Saleh, but also because of the people themselves. We can see the vigilante acts with regards to conflict of Islam. We can see the Molotov cocktail being thrown here and there. And these are the reflection that the society, the Muslim society, which Dato Aaron Ago must understand, has already gone conservative, whether they are the young people, whether they are the middle class, and especially if they are the pensioners who have money. The pensioners who have money are looking to make sure that they have enough religious rewards for them to go to heaven, and so they spend a lot of time in terms of rituals of Islam and also learning Islam in the traditional way. The middle class, which has gone through the Islamic reform movement of Abib Ikram, is now also looking towards the idea of making their family more Islamic, sending their children to Islamic schools. You can see the proliferation of Islamic school, the madrasa, the tahfiz is gone in many times over, meaning it's increasing at an exponential rate. And in politics, we see the brazenness and the blatant aspect of Parti Islam Malaysia PAS in reciting the Kunut Nazilah to declare enemies of all those who do not support it. Then we see the Kafir Harbi statement by one of the, again, PAS member, declaring DAP as Kafir Harbi, and with the DAP also it means Malaysian, meaning non-Malays are Kafir Harbi. Usually that's how it works. But then is it limited only to the DAP? Because the DAP cuts across also to the Sabah and Sarawak, and they are all made of, they are comprising of Malaysian people. So this is, of late we also hear of Azhar Idros, a very famous mosque speaker, penceramah masjid, calling for jihad against pemerintah, meaning the rulers of the country. Now, all this shows that conservatism of Islam and extremism of Islam from certain quarters is a mainstream situation. Quoting the Rukunegara to Muslim have no effect if you just going to say things like kepercayaan kepada Tuhan, kesetiaan pada raja dan negara. What do you think will happen when people quote the Kunut Nazilah, and people quote the Kafir Harbi, and people quote the again the jihad against pemerintah. It will not work because words such as progressive, democracy, the words such as inclusive, all these are considered dirty words in the Islamic or in the Muslim mind, not in the Islamic mind, sorry. So I think the minister should work with the Minister of Religion, that Naim, and also with Jakim to actually really look at it very seriously in terms of Islam. If there is no interpretation of the Rukunegara within the Islamic perspective, I'm afraid Dato' Arun and also Ministry of Unity, whatever you do will come to zero with the Muslim community. Of that, I am absolutely, convincingly very sure. Now, there are 6 things that I would like the ministry and also Malaysians to understand how the Rukunegara can then be infused within the Islamic perspective. Number 1, we need to have scholars writing about values of Islam in Rukunegara. As a person who has read a lot about Islam, I myself can write, I can talk about aspect of progressive, or aspect of democracy, aspect of inclusive, those aspects which is the preamble to the Rukunegara, and I can also speak about the 5 principles of the Rukunegara within the Islamic perspective. If I could do it, certainly other scholars who are much better versed than myself can actually do so. You have Istak, you have IKIM, make them come out with the values of Islam related to the Rukunegara. That's number 1. Number 2, transfer those values into the curriculum of the madrasah, of the tahfiz, of the school, public school, and also in the university MPU subject. It must be there. The discussion or the topic or the chapters on Rukunegara and Islam, which is synonymous, must be there. And thirdly, we must relook at the curriculum of religious degree, like the degrees for those who will eventually become ustaz and later on will work as religious officials in public department or religious department, eventually becoming mufti. The students or graduate must demonstrate a clear understanding that Islam and Rukunegara are synonymous, or it is actually an expression of Islamic justice, compassion, as well as the Islamic way to salvation, because Rukunegara asks us to give dignity to all, and I think this is one of the most important aspects of spirituality. Number 4, and this is very important, all the penceramah masjid who are going to talk in the masjid will have to get this tawliyah from the religious department. But the problem here is the religious department merely checks the academic credentials in terms of religion. The religious department doesn't interview them in terms of nation building. What do you think of nation building? How do you think Christmas concerts and all these things can coexist within Islam? This is not liberalizing Islam. This is simply Muslims living with others, with respecting them. Muslims do not have to wear bikinis and join gymnasium. You don't have to do that. But if there are Muslims who want to do that, then we need to respect. This is basically the rule. It's a moral, and it is an akhlaq, or it is something that relates to a growing spirituality construct that is personal in nature. It should not be looked upon as a kind of a rule for all Muslims. Everyone cannot be participating in this and that. This is not something which I believe Islam is saying. So the ustaz in mosque must go through a course on Rukunegara. If they do not have a certificate of this course, let's say a 1-week course, 5 days of understanding civilization, history, the values of different religion, they should not be talking at the mosque. I notice also in the fifth aspect of which Rukunegara can be viable for this nation is that the Friday sermon doesn't touch on it at all. I have examined thousands of sermons. I've read Sabah sermon, Sarawak sermon, I have read Selangor sermon, I have read Jakim sermon. They don't talk about Rukunegara or its values. And so if you don't have the Friday sermon building the minds of the Muslim, then you're not going to go anywhere with the Rukunegara with regard to having it being recited here, recited there, recited in the day one. Nobody is going to respect anything. The recitation doesn't mean respect. We should also then finally have a course or a training course to parliamentarians, especially those from Parti Islam Malaysia. But all people must go through a course where the dignity of others are to be respected, the idea about accepting and also allowing different cultures, appreciating the arts and all this. I noticed that many of the parliamentarians cannot talk, especially about arts. Are we going to just leave it like that? Are we going to just let them, spend 4 or 5 years as a parliamentarian without them growing? What is the curriculum of pertumbuhan, of growth in the parliament? This is something which I need for the country to answer. What is the course for development? A training course. Well, you have many kinds of training courses, but what about training courses in creating the idea of accepting others in terms of heritage, culture, the arts, as well as also according dignity to everyone, as not only part and parcel of the Malaysian responsibility, but it is also part and parcel of the greater spirituality for each and every religion there is. I think this is incredibly important. Parliamentarians are the representatives of the people, and if they themselves disagree or mistrust each other or hate each other from certain idea about religion, history, as well as philosophy, and also the idea of the arts, then we will not have a very peaceful nation. We must have the institution of education understanding the idea of Islam and Rukunegara. We also need to have the politician who represent us in parliament and the state assemblies understand the Rukunegara and Islam. And finally, we have to have the public in going to the mosque and also other religious studies must understand that the Rukunegara exists for all, and it is also part and parcel of the value system that Islam has produced. So I think the Ministry of Unity need to take this up very seriously with the Religious Affairs Department or Religious Affairs Ministry and come up with an institute that actually talks about and make this idea of Rukunegara grow not only within the perspective of Islam but also with the perspective of other religion as well. But what I see here at the moment in time, looking at what's happening to our country, looking at the politics, looking at the social media, looking at my relatives, looking at my friends, what they discuss, I feel with respect to the Ministry of Unity and their hard work, as well as to the special compliment to the Minister of Unity, all this work will come to naught, zero, because the Muslim just don't buy it. And that is my short truth about the matter, about how Islam is in this country in relation to nation building and the Rukunegara. Thank you.